It was a bill called 21 for 21 for the 21 victims of Robb Elementary to raise the age to buy a automatic rifle to 21. It made it out of committee. It never made it to the House floor. Roland Gutierrez is state senator for Uvalde. He's been very vocal about these. He's put out 21 for 21 and a number of other measures in the name of a lot of those families that have lost loved ones in Uvalde. State Senator, thank you for joining us. Your reaction to what happened in the legislature, or what is happening at the legislature or isn't happening?
Well, thank you, Steve. I mean, it's pretty sad where we are right now, because we went an entire session and the Republicans in the legislature that control the House and the Senate didn't do much, not just to help these families, but really to protect all Texans. Here we have another major mass shooting, probably the worst that we've seen in our state, certainly the worst law enforcement response that we've seen in our state when we've had a mass shooting. And the legislature, the Republicans, decided that they weren't going to talk about it. They weren't going to talk about it in committee in the Senate at all. In the House, it seemed like they paid lip service. At least there was a committee hearing, and that's important. But there was never a real intent to have it move further. We've tried amendments in the Senate. They've gone nowhere. Just today, the House did another amendment. It went nowhere. The Republicans simply do not care about this issue in a real meaningful way.
We're showing some pictures of the families who have fought hard and passionately for change over the last year. I know there was a bit of celebration for them last week when that 21 for 21 bill made it out of committee. But then, of course, extreme disappointment when it went nowhere in the end. How are these families doing now? So many of them I know we've talked to say that might be the end of this bill, but not the end of their fight.
Yeah, so when we started this effort with them and really on their own as well, you know, first off, I think they're all wonderful, and we've really become a family. They've become a family. I love and respect them for everything that they've done. They're fighting for their kids and their kids' memory, but they're also fighting for everybody's kids so that they never see this kind of conduct happen again in the state, to try to have some meaningful change when it comes to gun reform. We told them in the beginning, look, don't expect much from the Texas legislature, but they kept moving and kept pushing forward, lobbying on their own as well. They work so hard, and I know that they're heartbroken, but they also are very much realists in this space. They're going to keep advocating for their kids here in Washington and everywhere. Under no circumstances, I don't understand that we're living in a space where we don't have common sense gun safety solutions. The Republican Party over the last 4 sessions has created a chaotic situation where you could walk down the street with an AR-15 and a cop can't even ask you why, where a mentally ill person could go to a gun show and be able to buy an AR-15 without even showing a driver's license, or buy a gun in a private sale. We are in this space because Republicans have allowed this chaotic situation. I know Ted Cruz wanted to put this thing that happened in San Jacinto on this undocumented person, but it's their loose gun laws that allow the undocumented person to get an AR-15. We're just too far afield on this thing, and we need to rein it back in.
Interesting you bring up Ted Cruz. I want to ask you about that coming up, but we're less than 2 weeks away from the 1-year mark since that horrendous shooting happened at Robb Elementary. And we still don't have a definitive, all the body camera video hasn't been released. We haven't heard anything from DPS on their investigation. We haven't heard from the district attorney in Uvalde on her investigation. Is that a frustration in and of itself, or are we just never going to know?
We're certainly really frustrated about it. The families are frustrated. I think that they're going to slow play this thing. They're going to slow play all of this horrible tragedy. They're going to slow play all of the failure that they created on their part. Government here, law enforcement failed at every level, even prior to Uvalde happening. The fact that the radios didn't work, that's straight on the governor. The governor was asked to give them money to repair those radios. That never happened. We are in a place right now in Texas where there's a tremendous amount of neglect, not just in rural Texas, but in much of the functions that where government is here to protect us. And we saw it in Uvalde. We saw it Here recently in Allen, when the special unit failed to catch the internet traffic that this young man was putting out. We saw it in an electrical grid. I mean, so we're going to keep moving forward. We're going to keep trying to ask for truth and honesty. We simply haven't gotten it from the legislature, and we've not gotten it from the DA out in Uvalde. We're told that there's an investigation pending. I don't know who she's going to indict, and we're still waiting. So it's a mess.
The 21 for 21 legislation is the one we've talked about here, but far from the only one that touched on potential gun reform, changes to gun laws in Texas. Excuse me. Any of those, have they gone anywhere? Was there any movement on guns in Texas this session?
We tried so hard. I had several private conversations with the lieutenant governor. He was pretty insistent that things weren't going to move in that space, that his party and his caucus weren't there. Just today, I talked to a Republican along with Jose Menendez. Jose's got a great bill, a waiting period for young people, for 18, 19, and 20-year-olds that have AR-15s. We're trying to get them to consider that one. If you're not going to restrict the age limit, let's have a waiting period on the age limit on 18, 19, and 20-year-olds. His bill is 30 days. Let's have it 15 days. I mean, let's figure out something where we can come to a place where they can say they did something. And I don't mean for them, to make it a little harder for young people of this age to access militarized weaponry. So Jose is trying, I'm trying, Sarah Eckhart's trying. I know our friends in the House continue to put up amendments. I saw it again today, and the Republicans pulled it off on a point of order. They're going to try every procedural move. We're going to do every procedural move, and they're going to do every procedural move to kill what we're trying to do, rather than to have the real conversation that needs to be had.
All right, before I let you go, you and I go back a ways. I remember, covered you when you were on the city council, covered you as a state rep, and then now as a state senator. Your profile has never been higher in the state, never been higher nationally. So when you bring up Ted Cruz, that gets my attention there a little bit. There are rumors out there that you are considering running against Ted Cruz for United States Senate. Can you address those rumors?
Well, Steve, I'll tell you that. Right now, I'm stuck in this moment, and I'm stuck in the legislature for the next 18 days, and I'm going to finish it out. And I've got to do everything in my power to help those families get to the place they need to be. There's also a lot of procedural reasons, and why we can't talk about that too much. We have a moratorium in the Texas Legislature till June 20th. But, we'll talk about all those things when it's time. I mean, when this is over. Right now, I'm focused entirely on this issue. This issue has affected me, and it's going to follow me for the rest of my life, and I'm going to argue for advocacy in this space for the rest of my life. It is astounding to me where we are. Our children are dying, our people are dying at the mall. We all have to look at ourselves and say, it's not a time for prayers anymore. It's time to do something. And I think part of that is all of us together as humans and citizens of this country need to start asking ourselves to care a little bit more, to demand a little bit more from government, and ask government to do something. So we'll figure out those next things when it's time. Right now, I've got to finish this session.
State Senator Roland Gutierrez, I know it's been a long, emotional week, a long year, really. So thank you so much for being with us here this evening.
Thank you both. I appreciate you.